Commission meeting for Wednesday, February 15th to order. We're only missing one person, so we have the quorum. We have two. We have two missing, so we have the quorum. Correct?
We currently have 3 of our 4 official commissioners. Future Commissioner Smith and future Commissioner Loomis have not been sworn in yet. So by the agenda, we're going to do the 3 existing. We'll need to vote and officially, somebody needs to make a motion to be able to get Commissioner Karnick in to be chair, and that's got to be voted on. And then we can do the oath of office for our 2 new commissioners that are here with us tonight, and we can be all official.
I move to nominate Bruce Karnick as our chair. I second.
So then I guess those in favor, because I can't vote on that one, right? We're good then. Thank you, guys. So now we can move on to the oath of office piece for Wendy Loomis and Dwight Smith. Do we need to have them stand up for this? We just doing this seated? How do you want this done, sir?
We can do it seated, is just fine.
Okay. Do you guys have a copy of it in front of you? Perfect. So I'll just read through it quick, and you can say your names when we get to that blank. I do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and the ordinances of the City of Hastings, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Park and Recreation Commissioner of the City of Hastings, Counties of Dakota, Washington, and State of Minnesota according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Yes,
Yes?
I do.
All right, well, so there we go. And make that official. We have officially now, we're just waiting on one to be made official.
That's right.
Excellent. Welcome, welcome. Don't forget, you guys, when you need to talk to the red buttons and you're good.
Do we need to sign it?
You'll need to sign it and get it back to Paige. We can do that later. Really, the only other thing that we have for tonight is the 5-year park plan review. And I believe that is going to come from Parks Director Chris Jenkins.
Yes, it is. And this commission, a couple of months ago, reviewed this park plan. So most of this is simply just a quick review. If commissioners that have already seen it had any additional notes or feedback for staff, and if Wendy and Dwight, you guys have both seen this, if you guys have any questions, any feedback or comments on that plan, I want to get this finalized, and the goal is to submit this with Commission's recommendation onto Park and Rec Committee of Council, ultimately onto full City Council, being the work that the Parks Department is going to be working on in the next 5 years. So if there's any comments or feedback to start, I'd be happy to have that.
Do we have any additional questions?
The only one, Chris, that we were talking about, field payments. Are we looking at charging for youth athletics now or not?
That was not something that was included in the 2023 fee schedule.
Okay,
But if there is a desire by commission to make that recommendation, we can certainly carry that forward. If there's any additional work that needs to be done on what that fee would be, we can do that.
I think that's something that we should look into as a commission. Only reason saying is, I think other communities, their youth sports are paying for the use of their fields. Soccer, baseball, softball, everything else. Our fields are spread throughout the city. They're not in one clump like a lot of other cities are. So I think and I don't know what we would charge them, by no means, but we're charging adult sports. I think we should consider charging youth sports also, at least a nominal fee, and it's not gonna really increase their participant dollar amount, I don't think, that much, if we charge them a certain dollar amount per field usage.
And I think one important aspect of that too is if we're looking at trying to expand the Veterans Park and have it be a central, actual park designed for the organized athletics, whereas we've talked before that, the city parks are not meant for that. They're not built for the organizations to use. It's for kids to go out in their neighborhood and play whatever. I mean, it's a practice point, I guess, if need be, but it's not set up for games. I think that we need to explore the fees. We certainly need to do that. And part of that needs to be what kind of contribution have HYAA, the Hawks, whoever, the soccer, organization, if they've contributed to stuff like lighting or whatever. So I think those things need to be taken into consideration too when we look at the fees. But that's something for, I'm assuming, a future workshop and.
Yeah, you bet. And just to expand on that a little bit, Bruce, Dwight and Wendy, you guys will both get a copy, if it's not in that folder, of the park system plan, which is it's double duty. It was developed as a comprehensive park system plan for Hastings that is also our chapter in the city's comprehensive plan. Originally developed in 2007, 2008 timeframe, was recently updated with our 2030 comprehensive plan update. So that's in there, and what Bruce is referencing is all of our parks are categorized between neighborhood parks, community parks, specialty parks, and natural and open spaces and trails, those sorts of things. And Hastings has a lot of organized athletics in neighborhood parks that aren't intended to support that use. And one of the priorities in that park system plan is to reduce organized athletics through the construction and building of a central athletic complex. There are a few parks that the plan suggests can sustain a certain level of organized athletics. That's Pioneer, Wallen, and Lions Park, just because they're a little bit bigger footprint and it works there. And to that end, some of the updates too on what's going on this year with budget stuff. We'll talk about some of that stuff. But that park system plan is a good one. It's very robust, and it's well worth a read.
I would have only one question, I guess, or comment, and that is, does any plan for potential future fees for use include some support, or I don't know what you'd call it, for low-income families so that they wouldn't be cut out of participating in activities?
Can't really speak to that because the city isn't charging the participation fee for the association. So an HYAA, they're the ones that collect the registration fees for
Got it.
youth softball and baseball.
Got it, okay.
I know they do have programs. I think Hastings Football Club, the soccer club here in town, has the same. So I think all of those associations have scholarship availability for low-income families.
Okay, thank you.
I had a note about the Civic Arena on page 9. It's, that there are old furnaces and there's other issues. And I wondered if we should increase that amount to cover so that operation can continue on in the arena. I mean, it's pretty important, so it's like, I suggest we actually add that to the plan.
Typically, items like that, HVAC and building systems that are in place would be on our capital improvement plan list. So through their lifespan, you know, a furnace might be a 20-year lifespan, we're going to have that on the list in 20 years to be just replaced. So those types of things are in our capital improvement plan. But yeah, we can certainly call certain things out into the park plan as well. Maybe it's calling out that in conjunction with the CIP plan, or ensuring that the CIP plan is up to date. And commission can certainly, well, I'll bring that CIP plan, if you guys like spreadsheets, to a workshop sometime so we can dig through it all. But
One other question, and that is with regard to trail system. I'm sure that your plan is pretty thorough and consistent, but the one thing I know that's come up in recent years is the whole emerald ash borer thing. And how does that affect, what kind of an impact does that have on the Park and Recreation budget, or is that somebody else's headache?
The Emerald Ash Borer program that we currently do is our forestry department takes care of valuable ash trees in our parks and along our trail systems, or on any city property, I should say. So we are protecting 150 to 175 a year on a 3-year cycle. And if we need to do removals, we do removals as well. The boulevard trees, those are the responsibility of the property owners. We do have a program where we have a preferred vendor for tree treatments protection, as well as tree removals. And the forester coordinates all of that. So ultimately, the property owner is the one that pays the bill.
But the ones that are Park and Rec responsibility, you've got appropriately budgeted for,
For
in as
the,
much as you can have.
for the valuable ash trees, yes.
Right, yes.
A place like CP Adams down in the bottoms or out in the woods, those trees are gonna go,
Yeah,
we're just gonna make sure they're not hazards when they fall down,
okay,
so.
thank you.
So do we have any other questions on the 5-year park plan review? So the intent that Director Jenkins had said was to quick review this this document and decide that we're going to send it off to the Parks and Rec Committee as well as council, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the intent of this park plan is that it goes all the way to city council, so that they can review it, be aware of all of the work, and bless it, adopt it for the next 5 years.
So at this point, we are looking for a motion and a second to do just that.
I will motion to push it through to the committee and to the city council.
So we have a second. Any, are all in favor? Oh, so I was supposed to ask for a further discussion.
There you go.
That's right. Do we have any further discussion? He's looking at me like you forgot something. I did. Okay, hearing no further discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so it passes. Do we have any other business that we need to do? Do you have a department update down there, sir?
I do have a whole list of things. We'll start out with, you guys have all received an email and an invitation, I believe, to Commissioner Training, February 23rd, 5:30 here in City Hall. I believe that's a 1-hour training for all commissioners, and I think Hedra and Planning has some additional length of time. But you should have received an email invite from John Hinsman. So This is for new and any commissioner that's never received any sort of training like this. It's something that's new that the city is doing. So if you can make it, appreciate you making it. Other updates, what's going on, and these things are included in our 2023 budget and looks to be a very busy year for us. We have a trail project this year. It's estimated at about $260,000. That is the Highway 55 trail from South Frontage Road, River Street, right at the middle school, to the east to Spring Street through Roadside Park. That whole section of trail is intended to be reconstructed this year. Along with that, the tennis courts, I'm in the process right now of developing a quote solicitation for engineering services to engineer that project. And we have some park dedication funding that is set aside for that project. So the intent is to get that done. Final project at this point is intended to retain 3 tennis courts and modify 3 tennis courts to 8 pickleball courts. So we should be good for the future.
Has the land ownership been resolved?
Not exactly, but we're going to continue on and get it done.
And I understand what you're saying, the land ownership part. Sorry, I'll punch in here. Here's my thing on the land ownership part. Those courts are junk right now, and they need to be fixed. If your front yard was junk in the first 10 feet of your street, are you gonna fix it, or are you just gonna let it sit there? Because technically, the city owns that too. So I don't see the state taking this land without some proper knowledge. So,
Yeah, we're continuing to work with the state staffers and continuing to dig for and find historic documents. So we feel like we're in pretty good shape, and we've done a lot of work in Roadside Park and the tennis courts since 1938, and I think we're just going to continue to do that. Until we get a cease and desist, which I hope we don't. But that is the plan. Also included in the budget, and these are the fields that I mentioned earlier, athletic fields. We have funding to install player dugouts, as well as do infield renovations at the 4 Vets softball fields, the 2 Wallen baseball fields, the Pioneer Park baseball field and softball field, and the Lions Park baseball field. So that will be chain link player dugouts, concrete slab, player benches, covered roof on the dugouts. So that'll be a huge upgrade for those, and the infield's getting renovated, basically set the crown back in all the fields individual to that field so we can get proper drainage and all that stuff, and the fields are in good shape. We continue to work on community investment fund projects, and I'll make another plug here. The city, again, in 2023 has allocated $100,000 for the community investment fund. So if you are aware of any folks in town that could use some support to get a project off the ground, or has a really good idea of a project, those applications are out there. It's on the website. They can talk to me directly. I'm going to be coordinating it again. And we still have some community investment fund projects that will wrap up this year. So we finished batting cages and some work out at Vets. We've got some stuff going on at the Leduc, and I'm about ready to order the rest of the soccer goals and nets for the Hastings Football Club. We've done the building remembrance for reconciliation. We did the snowflakes lights downtown, did the arena scoreboard and sound system. I think I might be missing somebody.
One at the wall in front of the Legion on the riverfront, wasn't something there?
The art space down there is potential use by building remembrance for reconciliation. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I got a lot of lists and a lot of places. The arena refrigeration project, right, that's mentioned in the 5-year park plan, that is again on the governor's bonding bill list. So if the legislature, if that carries through and the legislature puts together a bonding bill, we should be receiving 50% of that funding if approved, and that's 2.35 million is 50%. The price has increased substantially since we first looked at that, but that's just the way the market is right now and what things are costing. So that's good news. Isabel Park should kick off here again in the spring with the contractor out there, Minnesota Dirt Works, and getting after that stuff. We took possession of the picnic shelter that will be out there, so we have that. And yeah, the rest of it will be coming. Should be getting the playground here sometime this spring too. So that'll continue. That needs to wrap up by the end of June. You guys have probably heard about the Lake Rebecca Park and the LCCMR grant for $1 million for some work down there. We amended the work plan and got that approved. And that amendment was to allocate some funding to hire a project manager for that. Staff was not going to have the capacity to project manage that, make sure that we're hitting all of the state requirements and federal requirements and reimbursement requirements and all of the things that go along with that. So we allocated $100,000 for project management. There's $100,000 for the master planning process that includes the natural and open space habitat improvement, enhancement, establishment, and the passive recreation improvement. So the parking lot for the boat launch itself, some trails in there, those sorts of things. So there's $800,000 for actual work product on the ground. And we did, I think you guys are all aware, we did take ownership of that 14-acre parcel that used to be owned by Flint Hills Resources. So we added some land down there as well. CP Adams Park, again with our volunteer Chuck Cadwell out there, has been doing some really good work and providing really good guidance. We put 50% down on brand new course signage, so every hole out there, there's 21 of them now, will have really fancy, nice, professional course signage, and we'll have a kiosk sign at right off the parking lot off of 18th Street there. So it'll look really good. And this summer, we'll also be doing some work on the tees, the concrete tees where people throw the discs from. We'll be planting some trees and doing some other clearing work just for the holes. Sometimes it's clearing and sometimes it's adding in obstacles into the course as well. So Chuck has been really good to work with, and we appreciate that. Park dedication. You guys that have been on the commission for a while have heard me talk about this probably ad nauseum. We are moving forward with changing our park dedication formula, and we're moving forward with the sample methodology that was provided by the League of Minnesota Cities. So there's been one recent lawsuit with park dedication related to commercial property. And the legality of park dedication fees being collected for commercial and industrial. You really have to be able to show a nexus to the use, the commercial use, and the impact on a park and trail system. So for instance, if you've got a 100,000 square foot building and you have 2 employees that work there and the rest of it is just trucks coming and going, there really is no impact on the park and trail system. If you have something like a daycare that runs 100 kids through there a day and they're located close to a park, you have more of an impact there. So commercial industrial will be 100% case-by-case basis. We'll review all of that. But we will implement a formula that is based on Hastings-specific data that will calculate the new park dedication fees. So that'll be good. That should be coming up. I think I've got a park committee meeting March 27th. And so it'll probably be a combination of park committee, maybe finance committee, and ultimately to city council. They're the ones that have to adopt that.
Has there been anything any movement on the whole, let's eliminate using that money in a specific ward that is landlocked and can't get any more park?
That was already done.
That's
City
done?
council already took that action. It is now not split into 4 wards. It is one fund. That and a little bit of homework. That's kind of the big updates with the Parks Department going on. Paige, unless you are aware of anything I'm missing? No? Okay. And then homework for this commission is going to be, what's the work plan for 2023? What does commission want to work on? So if you want to generate some ideas, if you want to kick some around right now, we can do that. Or if we need to wait for another meeting or work session, but we need to develop the work plan for the commission for 2023, potentially 2024.
One question I have for you, Chris, and Paige, you might actually be able to answer this also. Staffing, are you guys up to staffing, or do you still need staffing? We all need employees, and everybody does, but I'm just curious where you're sitting on that. Is that something that we should be considering into the, our homework that you want us to think about? And funding for that then also.
I'm not sure how that would play in. I can always use more staff in a variety of different areas. Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit more, and it's probably more workshop-y type, and bring that back to an official meeting. But we can talk about our current staffing levels. We can talk about recommended national standards for, particularly for park maintenance, and some other places where I see challenges for our department, and certainly bring that. But yeah.
That giant pause indicates you're done.
It does, yeah. Just wanted to get commission ready to start generating some ideas for work plan, and we can work through that all together. And then once we set that plan, we'll get to work on it.
To me, it sounds like that would be better off for a work session for brainstorming rather than trying to figure out some of that stuff now. Especially let the newer commissioners have a chance to look at the information that they've been given and formulate some of their ideas on the stuff, so. Does anybody have anything else for tonight?
Well, I just would say I would agree with that because I know Seal and I are both on members of the board of Hastings Environmental Protectors, and we'd like to go back to HEP and ask our organization about the 2023-24 work plan as well.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Points of contact in the community, right? Commission really is our eyes and ears. That's, part of the intent is to have commissioners as eyes and ears in the community and working with others to make sure that we become aware and can start working towards goals that are important to the community.
And our emails are listed still on the website, correct?
Correct.
People can reach out to us that way and ask us questions or offer up ideas. We're always willing. I know I'm always willing to run around to a park and take a look. That's another thing I guess I would suggest too, for those of us that may or may not have been able to get out to any of the parks recently, drive around town, take a look at them. See if there's anything you notice now with, even with the snow cover, to see if there's anything that pops out at you that says, oh, we should work on this.
Yeah, a couple of more quick things from me now that I'm writing them down again. Dakota Hills Playground is also in the budget this year, so that playground will be replaced. There might be a little bit of extra funding for a few other amenities, small amenities. So that, I think this commission looked at some plans a couple months ago. We did order that playground, so that's coming. Roadside slide, that has been ordered. So that was ordered as soon as I could.
All right, so let's just get it out there then, as far as do we have a time frame on it?
I don't.
You don't, no time
don't.
frame yet,
Nope.
so.
It's ordered.
It's
It's
ordered.
ordered.
That is as far as you can get with the manufacturers now.
As far as you can get with us anyway right now.
And is it something similar to what was there? What's,
Similar downhill pitch, yes, it is a tube slide. So it's not an open face slide, it's tube slide.
nice.
And I think we picked blue with yellow accents, I think is what we did. We're gonna make it the Raider slide. It won't be the big red slide anymore. That's right, that's right.
But hey, at least there's an update.
Yeah, that and the other, I guess, piece of business for this commission right now would be, we need to set our meeting day of week and time of day. So this is the third Wednesday of the month. If folks are comfortable with the third Wednesdays, I believe that works for Seal. Okay. And so we can do third Wednesdays, and do we want to do a 6 PM or a 7 PM meeting?
6 PM is fine with me.
I think 6 p.m. is good.
Okay.
Then we get done and we still have some time afterwards.
All right. So if I look at a calendar, our next meeting would be March 15th? All right, 6 PM.
You realize February and March, we just.
I just look at what Paige puts together for me.
That's pretty
Yep.
great.
Do we have a need for,
It is.
do we have a need for a workshop between them? Or are we planning on doing something here? Or do the next meeting be a workshop? I guess is there.
That is to be determined. I think you and I get together and talk about what needs to happen next. And then, yeah, this would be a good time for if there's any announcements that any of the commissioners have about anything that's going on in the community you're involved with and want to make public, that'll be something we'll add to the agendas going forward as well.
I just know I'm really excited for baseball season to start.
I talk to the pickleball and the tennis in Hastings probably every month, so I try to keep them apprised of what's going on, so, you know.
Yep, Steve and Ron got some emails from me in the last couple of days.
And are they excited to gain the pickleball and any concerns losing some of the courts for tennis? I didn't think so. All right, so I guess we are ready for a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion it, that we adjourn the meeting.
Second, then? He said, okay, perfect, we're done.
First, so.
Let's go.